nice to go outside again, even for little spurts.
It is, yeah. And I might just let everybody know that you each did the course in a different year. So you weren't in the same year together. So Grace, you undertook your Diploma of Musical Theatre in 2018. So that's a couple of years ago. And Ellis, you did the course in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
But also, and we'll talk about this in a moment or two, Grace, I believe you came to do the course pretty much straight from high school. Is that right?
Yeah, it's so I did another course prior to the diploma. I did like a part-time certificate 4 in musical theatre. And after I finished that, I was like, okay, I want to keep working. I want to pursue this. I'm really passionate, but I wanted to do something a bit more kind of intensive and something that would really kind of challenge me. And when I researched around, I looked into a few schools. NIDA was on the list, and I applied because, yeah, it was like 4 to 5 days of full contact hours, or mainly practical based, because being a diploma, you know, it's mostly all hands on with just a little bit of theory. And yeah, it was NIDA. I remember going to NIDA on a school trip when I was in year 10 and being like, whoa, this place exists. Like, it's just full of artistic people and just a full cultural hub. And so I think from that point onwards, I had in my mind, whoa, this would be a really cool school to go to. And then years later, I ended up studying here, and it was amazing. So that was kind of my path into it. So I'd done a bit of training beforehand, and then the diploma was kind of the next step for me, the next kind of challenge.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Ellis, you, even though you did the course a year before Grace, you had already, though, done some study at university. So your story is quite different about how you found us, isn't it?
It is. So I initially, I left high school and I went to Flinders University in Adelaide to study creative writing. And I did 4 years of study there and got my bachelor's with honors, and then was going to continue into academia and do like a PhD and whatnot. And then I kind of realized I was spending all of my time and energy on the community theater production that I was doing at the same time, and spending nothing on my PhD. So I figured maybe I should look into into this performing side of things, and that led me to NIDA, which has kind of always had a prestigious name behind it, and yeah, as soon as I found this course, I'm like, this is the one that I want to do. I reckon it's the right fit for me, and luckily enough, you guys thought so too.
That means what we've just heard is that each of you actually, or maybe we didn't hear that from Grace, but you mentioned Flinders, you mentioned South Australia, Ellis. You actually, so NIDA, of course, the campus is in Sydney, and both of you actually came from interstate to come to NIDA. So maybe I think it's interesting for people just to hear about, you know, how challenging that was or wasn't. Was it, I'm curious to know from each of you, was that relatively straightforward, leaving family and friends in one state and then coming to, you know, the wilds of Kensington where we are in Sydney? Grace, how was that for you? How was leaving home and coming to Sydney to do the course? How did you manage that?
It was definitely a little bit scary. I'm not gonna lie, but I think that was half the appeal as well. Like, you know, I'm going somewhere new to really kind of push myself and challenge myself. And, you know, I can devote all my time to this course and to this thing that I love. I was very fortunate enough that I had family that I could stay with for the duration of the course. But, you know, I think Mark, you'd be able to tell me, I think about like 50% of NIDA students would be from interstate. Like, there is quite a high percentage of people who are interstate. So anyone who is thinking about it, there's a lot of people in the same boat. I think as well, though, it was really interesting coming to Sydney from the Gold Coast. That's where I'm originally from. And, you know, the art precinct in Sydney is just so much more bigger. You know, there's so many more theatres, so many more venues, so many more shows happening around you. So to kind of be immersed in that while you're studying at, you know, this very prestigious school, it just kind of was very inspiring, I think. So yeah, Sydney is definitely an amazing cultural hub as well to study in.
Thank you for that, Grace. I think you're right. The numbers of students in any course, in any of the courses here at NIDA, a lot do come from elsewhere. And whilst absolutely that can be initially challenging, just finding your feet in perhaps in a strange town, it is genuinely exciting because people have gathered here from, you know, across the country, and I think that in itself can make for a very exciting environment. Ellis, what was it like for you to come from Adelaide to Sydney?
It was very, very similar because Adelaide's a small town compared to Sydney, so there was a big kind of shift in scope there. There was so many more people, and everything's kind of bustling. But the wonderful thing about coming to NIDA was, like most of the class came from interstate as well. We had like people in from Coffs Harbour and Ipswich and Melbourne and Canberra and Adelaide. And so we all, everybody who moved kind of picked a house close to NIDA, as you would expect. And so there was this really lovely community within the class of a bunch of people who have kind of left for the first time, all being close to each other and taking care of each other, and the fact that we were able to go around to somebody's house every weekend just had this really lovely sense of community, stood by the fact that we all came from different places. So that made it a lot easier, the transition a lot smoother and more palatable, I would say.
Good. Thank you both for that. It's and students who do come into the program from interstate, we do, of course, provide you with information on the ways in which that people find accommodation and manage those challenges. So that's information that we can give people should they need it. Let me ask now each of you a very, very big open question, and that's to do with, is there something about the course, you know, that you did here that you would, if someone said to you, oh, what did you enjoy most about it? I'm curious to know what you would focus on with that very big question. Grace, if someone said, you know, not what were the 10 things or the 5 things, what was the thing maybe that you really, or, you know, what did you enjoy? Yeah.
Totally. I think you touched on it before, actually. And it was something I didn't expect until I was in it. I think it's that sense of community and collaboration that NIDA offers all of its students. You know, you go, you have your class, which, you know, you make lifelong friends out of that 20 or 24 group of people, but then you have like everyone else in all the other course, from like technical production to the actors to, you know, the design students to costume to everyone. So it's a much larger community, and throughout the year you get to be involved in like the cabaret and showcase, and sometimes even the third year shows occasionally. And, you know, you work with people from all different facets of the arts, and you kind of realize that it's such a big scope. Like, I never realized how many people it took to put on a show. And even though it's just kind of a microcosm of, like, you know, something that you see on the Lyric Theatre or at the Capitol, like we put on a full production, it takes all these people. So I think, yeah, that sense of community. And even now, I think that extends to beyond you graduate. I don't know if Ellis could vouch for that as well, but I definitely feel like even now you meet people and you're like, oh, you know so-and-so, you know so-and-so, and you feel like you're still part of the NIDA community. So I think that's the thing that I enjoyed the most.
Thank you for that. Ellis, what about you?
The thing I loved was the creative atmosphere of being in that building and kind of always having a thing to do, like you mentioned the cabaret, Grace, like that takes place over 2 weeks, and you have to devise and rehearse and completely scrap everything and then rewrite and do it again, and you only have 2 weeks to do it. And then as soon as you finish that, you're on to the next thing. There's this constant stream of pushing your skills and your abilities, and it's in our year it was kind of like relentless in the best possible way. There was always something to do. There was always something to challenge you and to help you to grow as a performer and as a person. And that's not just stuff in class, that's stuff outside of class. Like there's quiz nights and lots of like community bond activities that you can do and get everybody together and have a good time, but also just like, you know, you're constantly growing and evolving as a person and as a performer. And that's what I got the most from my time at NIDA.
Fantastic, thank you. Grace, I wonder if you can cast your mind back to the showcase that happened at the end of the training year. What was your experience of that? I did a little, you know, in the course presentation, I let people know that was an opportunity to, you know, sing, dance and act for family, friends and agents and directors and so on. What did you find, you know, what was your experience of Showcase?
Yeah, okay. So Showcase, like Mark said, it's at the end of the year. And it's your entire course perform for some industry people, some agents, some casting directors as well. And it's just kind of, you get to put what you've learned for the year into a production that is, you know, it's fully staged, fully lit, fully costumed, and it's in one of NIDA's beautiful theatres. My year, we had direction by Philip Quast and Anne-Marie McDonald, who our year worked with for the whole year. So it's really great having our teachers work with us and then kind of put their director's hat on, and then we could see, oh, this is what we learned that time and that relates to here. Cool. But yeah, I really liked the showcase format for me, and I would imagine most of my cohort would agree as well, because you can put yourself, your authentic self, into, you know, what you're putting out there for the first time, saying I'm graduating. You know, you can, rather than say if it was a musical that had already been written and you're like a contemporary singer and it's like a really like Oklahoma or something like that, you know, you may not be suited towards that show, but with a showcase format, you can sing how you want to sing, you can present yourself how you want to be presented. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the showcase format and working with some of our teachers.
Thank you. No, it's great to hear. Ellis, I wanted to ask you about, if you recall, we had an opportunity when you were in the program, we had an opportunity to collaborate with the Sydney Theatre Company. This kind of opportunity doesn't always come along, but we thought about it and made the decision that we were able to provide your year with all of the training components that we wanted to, and take up this opportunity, which was early in the course, for you to collaborate on a musical with the Sydney Theatre Company, because as our discussion occasionally alludes to, the nature of working with others and learning from professionals is such an important, you know, learning tool and opportunity. So I wanted to ask you if you could tell us a little bit about what that was like, working at the Sydney Theatre Company with Sydney Theatre Company actors, and Kip Williams was the director, and yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that opportunity?
Of course, it happened very early on in our study. I think day one we had the fire escape drill. Day 2, we did a bit of singing. Day 3, we got shipped across to the Sydney Theatre Company. And as somebody who'd spent about 3 days in Sydney at that time, it was quite overwhelming to be suddenly in a room with people like Kip Williams, Mark Leonard Winter, Brent Hill, Geraldine Hakewell, Anthony Brendan Wong, like all of these like incredible performers, like very experienced, very well respected through the industry. And here we are sitting in the same room as them, being told, okay, sing part of the American national anthem. And the wonderful thing about that experience was because the end result was a professional show. It wasn't internal. It was 40 shows in the Rospa Theatre with a paying audience as part of the Sydney Theatre Company. We as a cohort were forced very quickly to become professionals. We couldn't afford to be students for those performances. We needed to be as professional as we possibly could. And I think, I don't think I'm remiss in saying that we all rose to the challenge and took everybody by surprise. So I think Kip even expanded the parts that we as a cohort would play, because he was kind of impressed at how much we'd learned in such a short period of time. And I mean, it helps when you're being taught by Kip Williams, who is an incredible director and lovely person all around. Yeah, I think that also kind of paved the way for the rest of the year, because we had this foundation of working as an ensemble, working as a cohort team, that we were kind of able to face the many challenges and tasks that were set upon us in the year to follow, like the cabaret, like the showcase. We found that we were very good at coming together as a unit and writing a really good show for somebody, because we had this fundamental experience at the Sydney Theatre Company. It was unforgettable.
It's great for us to focus on this, because it lets everybody that's watching us or listening to us now know that there's a little bit of flexibility, so that within this course, if opportunities arise, we can, if they're the right kinds of opportunities, we can really embrace them and make them part of the learning opportunity. Because I just remembered, Grace, too, that we were able to, we had a collaborative opportunity with the BFA actors, and you were in one of the BFA shows, and I can remember that was an extraordinary show as well. And I can remember what I liked about it was seeing you do things that, you know, you would never have got the opportunity to do perhaps in the musical theatre course. So it must have challenged you in different ways from an acting perspective.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I was involved in Ex Machina, which was one of the third year shows. And yeah, again, that whole professionalism, of course, like that was their third year production. And, you know, we walked into the room and we're like, oh, okay, all right, we have to really knuckle down, and this is serious now. But we also had so much fun on that show as well. Like it was a blast. And again, doing the amount of shows we did, I think, because we were still doing coursework as well. And I think we did like 12 or 15 shows over the 2 weeks period. So kind of getting used to managing that like double life of performing, and then also, you know, doing class during the day. It was very challenging, but very rewarding as well.
Grace, let's stay with you for a moment. Of course, you would have been phenomenally excited, and we were very excited for you when you were cast in the Opera Australia John Frost co-production of The Secret Garden. And we were thinking, what a wonderful opportunity and how exciting. And then, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic, you know, put a stop to a whole range of things, of course. And I believe that show has been, you know, shelved and is not going into rehearsal. I suppose it reflects a little bit on the slightly fickle nature of the business, is that there always will be opportunities, because we love as people, as humans, we love to watch stories, hear stories, tell stories, be involved in entertainment that has a look at, what this world might be about. So I've got no doubt that opportunities will open up again and be there. But how do you manage as a performer now, relatively recent graduate? So it's not like you've had lots of experiences at this, but how do you manage something like that, like this situation? How did you cope?
Totally. Well, we were actually supposed to start rehearsals this coming Monday, so it's crazy how things change so quickly. I think this pandemic is unprecedented, though. Like, no one could have seen this coming. I think you're right. You're hitting the nail on the head there, Mark. Even though I've only been graduated for this is my second year, I am slowly learning that, things happen for a reason. Sometimes we don't always know what that reason is. And, getting this job and, other jobs as well is you're realizing that, if you keep working and you keep persevering, the right thing will come at the right time for you. The right role, the right show. You don't know when, but so long as you're prepared and you keep working and you're gracious, I think eventually you'll find success. This time has been really great to kind of sit back and reevaluate and reassess and also reaffirm, lots of re's, why I think we do what we do, or why I want to do what I do. And I think that's personal to everyone as well, but it's been a nice time for me to sit back and be like, okay, well, let's kind of regather. Everything happens for a reason. You've done it once before, you can do it again. Why do you do what you do, though? Is it just for the end goal of getting a show, or is it because maybe you want to keep exploring your potential as a performer because you want to be involved in art that affects change or affects people? And I think it's closer to that side. So that's kind of what's keeping me through this, and I think it's keeping a lot of fellow actors and colleagues in the industry at the moment just kind of taking a break to reassess why they're doing what they're doing. Yeah.
No, thank you for all that. It also allows everybody who's watching and listening to us to just get a little bit of a sense that there's two sides to a professional career in the entertainment industry. The freelance nature of having a job and then looking for another job and having another job is I think very exciting, because you're not kind of stuck doing one thing necessarily for 10 years or something. It's hopefully lots of shows and different kinds of shows, but that in itself does have its challenges that I think all people that work in the entertainment industry have to find a way of managing, this nature that work is for a period of time, and then maybe no work, and then another job. But as it ever was, I think for entertainers and performers and directors and writers, we're in it, as you said, Grace, because we have a passion for it, we love doing it, and we pursue it for a whole range of reasons, as well as our professional a professional life for us. So thank you for all those insights.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, Ellis, you have had a whole unique, of course, set of circumstances for you since you graduated, because even though you've been out for a couple of years, you have spent, I would say, the bulk of that time involved with one ongoing production, which is kind of extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other kind of challenge, which I'm sure is both exciting and would have its tricky sides to us. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what the show was and what that experience has been like for you?
Well, I was very fortunate enough to be cast in the touring production of School of Rock, based on the Jack Black movie, with musical written by Andrew Lloyd Webber. And I can't believe I almost forgot that name there for a second. We started rehearsals in September 2018. And that's been my life pretty much up until the the pandemic hit. We were actually supposed to start a season in Adelaide the week that the theaters got closed down. And we took this show, where did we go? We were in Melbourne, and then we did 4 months touring China in 7 cities across China. Then we went to Brisbane, Auckland, and then we had our Sydney season, and we were going to finish up in Adelaide. It was like a monumentally big tour. And I very fortunate that opportunity came up. Yeah, I had an interesting role. I was the understudy for Dewey, the Jack Black character, as well as a swing covering the ensemble. And so I had 7 different tracks to learn, and I got to do all 7, which was awesome. That last one got in like right at the end there, and it was a big challenge. Not only there was so much to learn, you had to be so adaptable, and I felt like a lot of the stuff that we did at NIDA helped train me to be very adaptable and flexible and able to go, right, person's gone off sick suddenly, so you've got to jump into this role and somebody else has got to do that, and we've got to make it work. Like if people don't notice that a swing is on, you've done your job, right? But then it was also very odd because the role of Dewey is so monumentally huge. Like the show's about is like under 3 hours, and you're on stage for most of that time, running around, jumping off things, singing, belting rock at the top of your thing, doing guitar solos. You don't stop for that entire time. So it was an odd experience going from, you know, sitting in the dressing room kind of going, well, everybody's healthy today, I don't need to go on, to you are running the show now, go and be out there for forever and do everything. which was phenomenal. And I like very, very fortunate to get that experience. And I'm very aware that that's not always the case for a recent graduate. I've had an incredibly fortunate career, but again, it comes with that thing. We were taught, we had somebody who graduated the year before us, Brittany Shipway, come in to talk to us as we were leaving, and she kind of summed it up as comes in waves. And some people will have a big wave right at the as soon as they graduate, and then it'll ease off for a bit, then their next wave will come, where other people will kind of start in that low period, and then suddenly their wave will come. And so it's not all going to happen at once, but if you work hard and you keep at it, it will come. You'll find that right role at the right time, and you'll be able to go and do that. I hope everybody gets an Andrew Lloyd Webber show for 2 years. It's a great experience. Highly recommend.
And what we're also hearing, Ellis, is how wonderful actually to have that challenge of having multiple, you know, being a swing and having to be responsible for covering multiple roles, because it will never get dull. You're not doing the same, the same role over and over and over. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for that. One more question for each of you, because our time is running out, and I'm really hoping that the people watching us and listening to us might have some questions about NIDA and the course. But let me ask you, Grace, the people that are indeed tuned in today, what words of advice could you give to somebody who's thinking, oh, I might go and audition for NIDA's Diploma of Musical Theatre? What could you tell them that might help them either make their decision or help them with that process?
I think, yeah, if you're thinking of doing it and you have a passion for musical theatre, like absolutely just go to the audition and prepare as best you can, because you never know what the panel is looking for, whether you show an aptitude for progression in the course. And also, someone once told me, a really good piece of advice is you're auditioning a school just as much as they're auditioning you. So when you're in an audition, or even in a professional audition as well, you know, keep awareness of how, you know, the panel is interacting with you, and get an idea of whether, because that's a reflection of the school that you're auditioning for. And do you want to go there if the panel, you know what I mean? Like, understand that interaction is kind of a smaller scale of what you will experience when you go into the school. So I think absolutely prepare as best you can and just go for it. And then, you know, if you do get into the course, you know, you're in for a wild ride and just embrace everything, especially that community and collaboration that, you know, Mark mentioned before, because that's what I personally think sets NIDA apart from any other institution, is the fact that you're in this cultural hub with so many different people from so many different facets of the arts. So that would be my advice.
Thank you for that, Grace. Now, there's some great thoughts, and I liked very much, I liked it all, but I liked very much that notion. Like when you do your callbacks with us here at NIDA, you're actually, as you said, you're meeting people that are teaching on the course. So you can then decide, well, yeah, no, I want to give up my year and do that intensive training or not. I like that idea that whilst we're considering whether we have a place for you, you're also, you know, considering your options and going, is this what I want to do for the next year? I think that's a really good point that you make there. So thank you. Ellis, if you can cast your mind back to, you know, day one, let's say day one of the training, and if you could just whisper in Ellis's ear back then with some words of advice and say, Ellis, I think you should know this, or here's some advice for how you might get the most out of the year ahead. What kind of advice do you think you would give yourself?
First up, listen to everything Anne-Marie MacDonald has to say. Like, without a doubt. She was one of our singing teachers, and she learned so much from her. She tells it how it is, but she does it in a care way. No, she does it because she cares. The other thing I would say is just do everything. Your course is only a year long, and of course you're able to, if you want to pursue more study after that, you can, but this particular course lasts a year. Spend that year doing as much as you can. Go to every lesson, stay back in the rehearsal rooms and practice your tap dancing. If somebody asks you to be in their art film, go do it. Go be part of the director's music videos or the quiz nights. Go party every weekend with your new NIDA classmates. Like, just whatever it can do, whatever NIDA throws at you, just do it, because you will get some out of it in the long run.
That's
just
great.
do it.
No,
Yeah.
thank you, Ellis. Now, I believe that our Q&A session with anybody who's listening and watching now is a little bit later this afternoon. So we're about to wrap up. So I just want to say, firstly, to the people who are watching and listening, do join us later this afternoon. I think the timetables are all published on the NIDA website. Do join us for the Q&A session. Really looking forward to meeting you, hearing what you might need to know if you're considering this course. And then the only other thing I want to do is give each of you a big hug and say, a virtual hug, and say thank you to Grace and to Ellis for joining us. It's fantastic to see you both, and thank you very much for sharing with us your experiences of the Diploma of Musical Theatre.
For sure. Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I look forward to talking to you both soon. Thanks, everyone, and come and join us in the Q&A later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.